It's now time for another international break as we park up club football for another fortnight. Celtics sit pretty at the top of the table, 8 points clear after a 6-0 win over Aberdeen at Paradise. In today's video we'll discuss the big talking points from the game, whilst also going over all the latest Celtic news from the last 24 hours. But first, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Kenny Dalglish, like most watching on Tuesday night, was left frustrated by the use of VAR technology in the match between Celtic and Atletico Madrid. Dyson Maeda was sent off for catching Mario Hermoso in a 50-50 challenge for the ball. It left Brendan Rodgers deeply frustrated, to the extent that even he was shown a yellow card on the sidelines. Celtic legend Dalglish actually takes a different stance from many of the incident. He understands why it could be considered a red card, but he reckons the evidence to overturn the original yellow was flimsy. He has even stated the VAR official should not have been in the booth in the first place. Writing in a Sunday Post column yesterday, Dalglish said, "Celtic were down to 10 men in their Champions League tie against Atletico Madrid. Dyson Maeda was red carded for a tackle on Mario Hermoso after VAR intervened. I totally understand why Maeda was red carded. He was high and late, but there wasn't any intent to cause harm. So, was it a clear and obvious error by a referee, Ivan Kruzlik, to give Maeda a yellow in the first instance? No, a yellow was also acceptable. Also, should a Dutch official, in the case of Johan Higler, be the VAR when Feyenoord, a team from Eredivisie, is in the group? No, that is yet another example of questionable decision making by UEFA." Dalglish goes on to argue that footballing authorities should be calling on former players more to help out with the VAR process. He feels that level of knowledge would aid referees in the decision making process and the application of rules. It's an interesting point of view. It seems clear in many leagues and tournaments that the problems around VAR are only growing. The technology itself is sound for the most part, but the interpretation of periods of play can be bizarre. Solutions need to be sought, even if they seem experimental. The status quo isn't working, as Rodgers pointed out himself in a media conference this week. Celtic did bounce back from the disappointing 6-0 loss to Atletico Madrid midweek, with a deserved win of the same scoreline against Aberdeen yesterday. Yang had the boys ahead within 9 minutes after heading home Luis Palmer's fine cross. Later, the South Korean sprung open the Aberdeen defence to release Matt O'Reilly, who squared the ball for Kyogo to finish. Then Palmer struck a sweet penalty to end the contest at 3-up. David Turnbull netted yet another goal from outside of the box to further boost his chance of regular appearances. Palmer provided a glorious pinpoint cross for O to gobble up, before O'Reilly fed the South Koreans to round off the scoring with a double. The result moved Celtic on to 35 points after just 13 matches. The reigning champions remain the only unbeaten side in the entire division. The Hoops were tremendous throughout the 90, with Aberdeen not getting anywhere near them. Here are 3 things we learned from the match. No Maeda, no problems. Dyson Maeda was ruled out for this one, but Celtic certainly didn't miss the vivacious Japanese winger as both Luis Palmer and Yang hit form. Put together, the wing duo contributed to 4 of the Celtic's 6 goals. The Honduran international was particularly impressive, gaining a hat-trick of assists and a goal for himself. European woes left in the dark. Celtic showed top-tier resilience to come back from a 6-0 defeat to Atletico Madrid and win 6-0 themselves yesterday afternoon. There was no sense of a European hangover from Brendan Rodgers' men against the Dons. Perhaps a golfing class in Europe and the domestic game was shown with Celtic's recent 2 scorelines, but nothing should be taken away from their Saturday performance. Subs make an impact. From the bench, both O and David Turnbull vastly influenced the game. Both contributed to half of the champions' goals yesterday afternoon. O bagged a brace and Turnbull scored from range to take him joint top of Scottish Premiership scoring charts. Each staked their claim for a regular place in the team and undoubtedly gave Rodgers something to think about. Going forward, the Irishman will have plenty of dilemmas despite injuries to key players. This is only a positive for the team, who sit 8 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership going into the 3rd international break of the season. Celtic staff are seriously impressed with summer signing Yang, and his performance over the weekend is set to be the start, as he is dubbed to play a key part in the future with Dyson Maeda out injured. Celtic badly needed someone to step up and replace his contribution. Rodgers trusted Yang with that and he delivered. The aftermath of Celtic's heavy defeat to Atletico Madrid on Wednesday night has been pretty brutal. No punches are being pulled by pundits, journalists and some supporters and the analysts. In isolation, the match in Madrid isn't anything to get too upset about, beyond the demoralising scoreline. The red card ruined the game as a contest after all. However, defeats of this nature and poor points returns have become a trend for Celtic in the UEFA Champions League. The question for many is, are the club using the resources available to them in the best possible way? For the Scottish Daily Mail's Stephen McGowan, it would seem the answer is no. He reckons the club pursued a transfer policy in the summer that he held back the ambition of Brendan Rodgers. He's pointed out that all the arrivals in the transfer window fit the same profile and had similar salary demands. Writing in a Saturday column, McGowan said, Rodgers returned to Glasgow in the summer with ambitions to restore the club to that competitive state on that stage. Thanks to Celtic's transfer model, he's been asked to do it with one hand tied behind his back. The summer signings generally followed the same prototype. Aged between 18 and 23, they'd all received international recognition at some level. They were prepared to accept a salary in the ballpark of 10 to 16k a week, and their transfer fees came in below £5 million. In Scotland, that policy is enough to deliver trophies and titles. In the killing fields of the Champions League, it's not fit for purpose. It's not just the giants like PSG, Lazio, Real Madrid, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid indicting the pain. In the last decade, Celtic have lost ties in UEFA competitions to Maribor, Malmo, AEK Athens, Cluj, Copenhagen, Ferencváros, Midtjylland and Bodo Glimt. Celtic must find financial balance that marries ambition with stability. There are counterpoints to McGowan's verdict, of course. Celtic may argue they invested heavily in contract renewals for the club's top stars, for example. They are likely earning much more than the newcomers. Tying down Callum McGregor, Kyogo and Matarai to long-term deals doesn't come cheap. There's also the reality that if the boys did go out and spend £30 million more in the summer, it would potentially bring them no closer to competing against the elite Champions League clubs, given the financial gulf across football right now. But there is a solid point to all of this. With Celtic retaining tens of millions in the bank, supporters want to see those resources utilised to their maximum. I would imagine very few fans wanted hoarded cash. The majority of Celtic's wealth is generated by ordinary fans buying tickets and merchandise. The club must find a balance between financial security and ensuring that the money coming into the company is invested into the team on the park. This season it's an easy conclusion to reach that they have gone too far in one direction. As Chris Sutton said yesterday, January must be the time to start providing fans with some hope that this club does want to give itself the best chance possible of performing in Europe. Excuses are rapidly running out. Celtic ran out deserved 6-0 victors against Aberdeen on Sunday afternoon. The champions were dominant throughout with goals coming from all over the park. In the midst of the outstanding performance though, there were several number of pitch invaders. Several younger supporters made their way onto the field at separate junctures. Post-match, Hoops gaffer Brendan Rodgers sent a message to these fans, indeed condemning their actions. He said, "It's silly, we had a young guy come on at Livingston, which was at the end of the game, but what happened today isn't the Celtic way. Stay off the pitch, watch the game and show some respect." These are certainly some definitive comments from the champion's boss. Despite the entertainment invading fans provide, few supporters would disagree with Rodgers' comments, as it's not pleasing to see people run onto the park and slow the game down regardless of their age. Going forward, it will be hoped the number of pitch invaders can be reduced, and that some fans show more respect like Rodgers wants them to. Celtic fans, what are your thoughts on our final game before the international break? Let me know down in the comment section below. That brings us to the end of today's video, guys. Make sure you drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Remember, we've released our brand new t-shirts with our Brendan Rodgers Pope t-shirt and our Celtic Ultra t-shirts too. You can find them at celticapparel.com or just go down to the link in the description. Thank you, take care, bye bye.